What up? It's early here. It's 8:40. Not too early. Just got to the office and I want to get going. Um, I've got a select component here with a useSelect hook that I just built on Friday. It's time to make it work for multi-select. Um, yeah, I'm excited about this. I feel really good about it. I almost am thinking I'm going to replace my nozzle, my company's select implementation with this one because I'm feeling so good about it. So let's dig in. This is the select hook that I have so far. By the way, this link here is in the description. You guys can head there and check it out if you want. Yeah, loading up some fruits that we're going to search through in this box, so we can search for apples and apricots, whatnot, acai. And so far, let's see, it looks like the search is working. Kind of been polishing this this hook to use kind of throughout this process. So still got some rough edges, but it's looking pretty good. The My Select component, which is the component that you would build in your own app that utilizes the useSelect hook. So far, you know, we've got just some styles, which this is why you want hooks, is so you can manage all your styles and render your markup however you want. So I've got an options box. Each option is like this. Let's see, highlighted options coming through. So basically we're using React Window to render all of these options. And it looks like there's some funky stuff going on right now with React Window. We're gonna have to fix that. But this lets us render our markup however we want and let useSelect handle all the weird logic for all the select stuff. So we're sending through some things to useSelect, like our options, value, how many items should be visible. In fact, visible items, I wonder if that doesn't even need to be in here anymore. Items on page. Visible items. Items on page is, and then we're getting the height. And we're only sending the height back. So I mean, this is a perfect example of things that you should be pulling out of hooks that aren't responsible for rendering anything. Like item height is not something that needs to be in here, and visible items is also not something that needs to be in here, because those are all things that have to do with rendering. So visible items is not in here. Scroll to index, that is in there. Options attribute, we don't even use that anymore. So our useSelect hook, items on page. I guess we are using items on page to some extent. So we are going to put that back in there. Items on page is used to, so when you hold shift, you move your arrows up and down, that you can jump entire pages instead of just individual results. So items on page does need to be in there. But let's see, item height and visible items don't need to be on there. We are going to put those right here. Items on page. So visible items 10, items on page. We'll just do, let's see, visible items. We'll do that times the item height. Duplicate declaration height. Alright, that's because we're not getting that back anymore. Okay, that's feeling a little better. And it's still wigging out for some reason. Let's see, our active stuff is not working. So option, get option props. We're sending through this stuff, get option props. useSelect, get option props, takes an option. Oh, we need to pass through the rest of these options right here. Whoops. Rest, And then let's compose through, since this is a prop getter, we want to be able to compose through, like pass through any other props if we can. And if they want to supply their own on-click or on-mouse enter, we should be able to do that. So let's say we're going to do those things by default, and we're going to say if, let's see, if the user supplies these things, then we're going to run them with the event. Let's see, if option, highlight option, mouse enter. Okay, there we go. So you can hover over these and activates them. You can go up and down with the arrows. Right now, if I hold shift to go down, it's breaking. And I think that has to do with our items on page thing that we're sending through. So let's see, visible items is set to 10, and we need to be sending through visible items. We're just going to change items on page to visible items. Oops. Let's see, items on page, visible items. Perfect. Now we're not going to be sending this back at all. Handle search click, we're not going to be sending back any of these handlers. Or the click outside ref, we're not going to be passing that back. Let's see, click outside ref. Do we need that? No, we don't. Click outside ref. Where are we using that? Click outside ref. I mean, we got to be using it somewhere. But we're definitely not returning it. So let's see, highlighted option, selected option, select option, get input props is open, search value. Yeah, okay. So let's see, we can now hold shift and page down through our results very easily. When we select nectarines, we get nectarines. Okay, so right now this is feeling like a pretty good select component. We have full control over the rendering. useSelect is doing all the select magic for us of handling state and doing all of this. Event handling for us, giving us props for like the keyboard navigation, handling things like clicking outside of the box and closing it. So let's see, options ref. I think options ref is, yeah, so this use click outside ref doesn't even need to return a ref anymore. That's the great thing about it. Okay, so we need to make this support multi-select. This is going to be interesting. If you haven't seen a multi-select component, let's see, let's go to downshift. They have some good examples. Downshift is a headless component that Kent C. Dodds built for building React input components. It's really cool. Let's see, he's got a website here. I wonder if it shows. Okay. Home, tests, combo box. Okay, so this is his normal select. Is there a, maybe there's some examples here of, let's see, examples. Multi-select. How to create a multi-select component. So this is what a multi-select component looks like for, let's see, you can select multiple things like this, and it adds the values inside of here. And you can click them again or remove them. Yeah, so that's what multi-select does. Just lets you add a bunch of things in here and search. You know, here's Luke Skywalker's in here. We'll hit enter, adds him to the list. And you can also remove them and also hit backspace to take away the last value that you have added to it. So there's definitely going to be some added logic that we need to take care of in here, but it needs to happen. I don't think you can have a select component that handles single and not multi realistically in an app. So let's get to it. First thing that I think we're going to do is I'm going to save a copy of this, of our old useSelect component. I'm just going to call it useSelect old.js, just in case we end up breaking things big time. And also we're going to be making some changes that maybe require 2 different hooks instead of just a single hook. But you know, I'd like to avoid that as much as possible. I'd like to have a single select component that can do everything. So I feel like out of the gate there's going to be a flag here that is multi. And multi is basically going to change the way that our select component works. So let's just come into, let's see here, get our old one out of there. My select. So right here we would want to be able to say multi. This is a multi select component. And then in our normal component here we'd catch multi, and then we'd want to pass multi through to useSelect here. And then we're probably going to have different rendering solutions based on multi values. And it's probably going to be mostly this input component right here. This input component right now just shows a single value. We need it to show several and also show the input box by itself. So more than likely, let's see, get input props is going to be like that. More than likely we're going to have a selected value right here, and it's going to be an array of options or values, right? And so we're going to get, I think it's not selected value, it's selected option. But this time around it's going to give us multiple options, and we're going to render those. We're going to render each of those, and it will likely just be, we just want to show the option value. And we're going to want to show a way to get rid of it. So we'll just put a space here and a span. We will put an X. I'll be like, oh, selected option map is not a function. Well, selected option still returning just a single option, but when it's in multi, we need selected option to be an array. So selected option right here is actually going to be options, selected option indices. You know, I'm always torn here if I should use indices or indexes. I kind of feel like indices is technically the right term, but indexes just kind of reads easier for a lot of people. It's also easier to say. So we're going to say options. We're going to say options. This is kind of a tough one. Selected options indices. Selected option index. Do we use the selected index in here? I don't think we do. So we're going to change this to just be selected options, and we're going to loop through the options, and we're going to say let selected options. You know what we should do, just to make sure that we're not killing things? We should have multiple selects here. We should have one that's a single select and one that's a multi. And that way we'll know that everything is still working for both. So selected options is just going to be undefined, and we're going to say if not multi, then we're going to do single select logic. Otherwise we're going to do multi-select. And we won't need a const here or a const there. So this first one, the single one, is just going to be kind of what it was before. We're going to go over every option, and we're going to find where the option value equals the value, and that's going to be the selected option. For the multi-mode, this is going to be a find, so we return one result. For the multi-mode, we're going to use filter. So we're going to filter over every single one, and we're going to do something a little different. So we're going to say where value includes d-value. And that's because we're expecting value to be an array of values now. So the search value is going to remain the same for multi-stuff. IsOpen is going to remain the same. Highlighted index is also going to remain the same. So the highlighted index, the selected option index, we're just going to default this to 0. This is what we basically default it to everywhere now. That's kind of an outdated idea of using the active or the selected thing, the selected option as the index for that. So we're going to set that to 0. We're still getting selected option map is not a function. So if not multi, okay, so selected option should be coming through right here. Selected option map is not a function. Well, we are, okay, if not multi, selected option equals this, if multi, selected option equals that. So, I guess we need to make sure that we're saying that we're only rendering this if multi is on. We don't want to render all this stuff if we're just doing a single one. So, okay. So here we've got our single select. Looks like it's still working great. Here we've got our second one that obviously is a little broken. Even the filtering is a little broken. So let's go back. We're just going to work through this. We're just going to see all the logic that needs to fork based on multi or not. So highlighted index should be okay the way it is. So let's see, match sorter is going to still act exactly the same way. All the filtering should be about the same. Highlighted options, highlighted index. That should still be the same because we can only highlight one option at a time anyway. This click outside ref should still work great. Set highlighted index. This should also work fine. Select option. Now this is where it gets a little different because instead of doing an on change with the new value, really what we want to be doing is doing an on change with all of the values, and maybe just sending through the singular value as metadata. That's an option I think is valid. So really what we want to do is we want to take value and we want to add option value into it. So let's see, we're going to spread the current value, and we're going to add the option value into that. And then we'll send through the individual value as well. So now if we hit apples, let's see, it's just a pending, oh, avocado. Okay, cool. Obviously these X's aren't doing anything just yet. Yeah. Also, if you guys have any questions throughout, go ahead and ask. I don't have any time frame for a lot of this stuff. And I like to take questions and curiosities you guys have, maybe asking like why I make certain decisions I do. I think that could be kind of fun though. So don't be afraid to ask any questions or anything like that. Okay, so our select option, see, this needs to be for multi as well. So we need to say if multi, actually I kind of like handling the single select case first. Just makes it a little bit easier to reason about. So this is just going to go right back to what it was. We're just sending through the individual value. So this one should still work. And this one should be pending. But it's not. Let's see. Unchange value, option value. Okay. So let's just, we're going to reload, see. How did we get it to work that first time? We're getting an error over here. Let's see. Each child in a list should have a unique key prop. Well, that's obvious, right? Something we missed. So let's go back here, add the key prop to our div. We're going to key them off of option value because we're not going to have options with the same value. So that will be our unique identifier. So I think if we reload bananas, we can't select any more than that. I wonder why. Anyways, let's just keep moving forward. Let's see, my select multi on change. Okay. Let's see, value. I guess it's starting right here. We're starting with a singular value. That's probably screwing it up. So we should probably add a check for that. Right here up at the top, we should say, you know, if, we'll do this. We'll say if multi and type, or let's see, array is array value. If it's multi and the value is not an array, we need to throw an error. Throw a new error. Use select value is not an array, and let's see, let's do this as a string here. Use selects multi option is being used without an array value. Let's see, cannot be used without an array value. Duplicate declaration value. And that's because right here we're going to do single value. Or let's see, set fruit. So this is going to be an individual fruit, and this is going to be, yes, and this is going to be fruits. Set fruits. Fruits. Set fruits. Okay. useSelect's multi-option cannot be used without an array value. Well, good thing we just set that up because we don't want this. We need this to be an array value out of the gate. There we go. Now when we click on bananas, it'll actually append blueberries. I guess it's broken somewhere. Let's see, do we get an error? Let's see, are we still, no. All right, well, I'm not sure what's going on there, but we're just gonna keep trudging forward. Let's see. What's next? if multi throw new error. And why is this barking here? React hook is called unconditionally. Hooks must be called in the exact same order every time. Yeah, this is something that I've kind of wondered about. I should probably tweet about this. Why can hooks not throw errors? Like, throwing should be acceptable and not have to trigger this weird, this weird lint thing. I feel like if there's an error, whether the hook order, stays the same or not is kind of irrelevant. Like, you threw, you need to be able to catch it. But I don't know. That feels really weird. So I guess maybe instead of throwing a new error, we'll just like console warn, which feels, I don't know. I'm gonna tweet about that. Let's do it right now. So let's see. Question. And a custom React hook. Shouldn't I be able to throw an error before a hook is used and not get a linting warning? I understand about early returns, but I'm curious why throwing follows that same rule. Thoughts? Sweet. I don't know, that's weird. If you guys know anything about that, why don't you let me know? So, let's see, we're clicking and it's not working. Options, okay, so options should be the same. Select option should add it, but only if it's not already present. So, we're going to do a check here, and we're going to say else if value does not include, if value does not include option value, trigger the on change. Because we're already doing acai, so we shouldn't be able to click on that and add it. In fact, we should be removing it from the list entirely. But we can just add this in as a little check. And then, let's see, handle, search value change. That shouldn't change at all. Handle search click also shouldn't change at all. Handle search focus should not change at all. Highlight option. Let's see. That should all still be the same. All the option highlighting stuff shouldn't change. Get key props. Select option. You know what? We're going to be adding something new here. This is going to be delete, I think. And if it's not, not multi, we're just going to be returning right here. But if it is, let's see, then really what we want to do is we want to say remove option. We want to take an option, but removing option, we're probably not going to be sending through an option, we're going to be sending through a value. Remove option is going to, really it should be remove value. And it's going to come through here. We're not going to close it, but we are going to trigger on change. We're going to trigger the value, but we're going to filter out where D does not equal the value that we want to get rid of. remove value. We want to remove the last value. So it would be, let's see, we can actually just spread values and then reverse it and then take the first one. Kind of a little cool little trick there. Instead of trying to do, you know, value end of whatever, you just kind of make a copy of the value, reverse it, take the first one. So actually, if we are in here, we press, let's see, are we pressing delete? Let's go to our use keys and see which key is actually coming through. Console log key. Which key is that? What? Oh, duh. Console log key. Go down, backspace. That's what it is. It's not delete. That's just what it says on my Mac keyboard. Mac, you lied to me. Backspace. So if we hit backspace, it should take away the first value. But it's not. Why not? It's not selecting any of them. That's so strange. Let's see. Let's make sure our remove value is even getting called. Console log value. Let's see. We're in here. We're hitting delete. Yeah, it's trying to take away acai. That is how you say the fruit, by the way. Acai. I spent 2 years in Brazil serving the mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It was awesome. Fluent in Portuguese. At least I was for a while. But acai is so good. I love that stuff. Why is this not working? Let's see. We're triggering the on change. We're filtering out the value. So in my select, on change should be getting called regardless of what's happening. Index, the on change is set to set fruits. Yeah, and we're replacing it. Set fruits, my select, on change. Remove option, on change, filter value. Yeah. Well, let's see what's actually being sent through here. Let's see when we hit back. Let's see, avocado, no. Warning, element changes. Huh. Well, that's weird. I'm not getting anything now. I wonder if we should test this out in a new window. Getting a ton of errors. Value filter is not a function. What? It should be a function because we're sending through an array. Hi, Anna.
Still live streaming or you just have to start again?
Still live streaming,
Okay.
but should be done pretty soon.
Okay.
Don't mind me. Just talking nerd over here.
Well, nerdy talk to help some people, so that is fun for you.
Hopefully. Actually, I'm rebuilding the select component for nozzle.
The select to select anything?
Yeah, like drop downs, multi-select.
Yeah.
Yeah, rebuilding it.
Okay.
Should be about a fifth the size and be way more reliable. So
Well, that sounds
at least that's the hope, right? There's always trade-offs.
It was exciting to rebuild something that gets used something.
Yeah, and doing it in React hooks, so it's kind of new and cool.
The new thing they just released, right?
Yeah. Value filter is not a function. So why is value filter not a function? Oh, you guys should have been able to spot that before me. This should be new value and not value. We're trying to filter on the one that we were sending through. So doing that should allow us to get rid of it. Okay, well, that feels pretty good. And it's still not adding, let's see, it's still not adding the value to the new option that we select. So if value includes, I think that's what it should be. So we're adding bananas, bilberries, and then we're getting rid of those. We can search for, no, acai, but it's already in there. It looks like our search is broken to some extent. So what needs to happen now is blueberries. And why is that not being filtered? Let's go log out our options. Oh, and it's getting called over and over and over and over. That could be a problem. Let's get rid of that. So why would that be getting called over and over and over? It means we have an effect somewhere that is relying on a guard that is always changing. The selected option is always changing because we're always creating a new array up here when we actually figure out what the selected option is. So this one will never change technically if we have just a regular value, but we should be memoizing this technically. So we're going to bring in useMemo, which is kind of like should component update, but for a function. And we're going to be using the value, our value, as the change detector. And then we're going to move all of this stuff in here, make sure we import useMemo. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to say if it's multi, return this, and if it is multi, return the filtered version. And it only does that when the value changes. So if we come back in here, console log out the selected option. We shouldn't be seeing a ton of console logs, just a few as things change. And then if we put it inside of here, we should only be seeing it when the value actually changes. So if we open our console again, only when the value changes do we see that log come up. And that's the best way to use useMemo, is to only do expensive work or to create things when you need to. So it only happens when value changes. So let's see, we should be able to select avocado now. All this stuff is working again. Horned melon. What about our search? We should be able to search for blueberries, zucchini. I guess zucchini is a fruit. Anna, is zucchini a fruit?
What's that?
Is zucchini a fruit? I highly doubt it.
Maybe because of the seeds.
Zucchini a fruit? I have a list of fruits I'm importing, and zucchini's in there.
It's like how tomatoes are fruit. It might be.
In a culinary context, the zucchini is treated as a vegetable. It's usually cooked and presented as a savory dish. Botanically, zucchinis are fruits. What? A type of botanical berry called a pepo. Okay. Zucchini's a fruit, I guess. And so is a cucumber. I hate digging into stuff like that. So yeah, zucchini is not a fruit in my book. Sorry. I salt them and butter them. So. Okay, so let's see. You can select a couple of these. It looks like they're getting sorted, aren't they? Chocolate, fruit. Yeah, they're getting sorted. We want them to be sorted in the value that they're in. That's because we're using options and filtering over them. What we need to do is we need to map the value and then find the option that it's using. So we'll do val, and then we're going to find the option that matches the val, where the d value equals the val. That way, as we append figs, bananas, that way they carry the same order all the way through. Another thing that we need to do is we need to remove the values that are in there from the list of options. So let's see, options right here. We're going to be changing these a little bit. So use state. All of this stuff right here is all state, so we can actually move that up to the top. So right here, we're going to do options equals options filter. Now we're going to say if the d.value, let's see, we're going to say where this is where it doesn't include. So this is only if it's multi. If it's multi, we're going to remove where the value does not include that. There. So if we select apples, it should be removed from the list now. Sweet. So that makes it a lot easier to just say, we can just like hit enter going all the way down and then hit backspace going all the way up. Sweet. So what else do we need? We need this X to work next to apples. So this span X, we're going to do on click. We're going to say remove value. Now see, we could do this on our own, technically. And I feel like that's actually the way to do it. Because since we're sending through the value as a controlled thing, we can just say on change. We'll call on change on our own, and we'll just say value filter where D, let's see, where D does not equal the option value. So now if we add a bunch of these things, if we click on that X, it should filter it out. Yeah, see, that's the beauty of like these hooks things. If it's all controlled, really. I mean, it doesn't have to be controlled. In this case, it is controlled. So we can just change the value on our own. It goes into the select. We don't have to worry about anything else. So the other thing that I want to do is when it's multi, after I select an option, I want it to stay open. So if we come into our useSelect hook and we say if, let's see, there is an effect down here that closes, let's see, set is open to false. And it does that when we select an option. So what we can do is we can say if it's singular, we do want to close it. But if it's not, we want to keep it open. It's pretty nice. So it's like this, acai. Also, when we select an option, if we're typing like blueberries and we select an option and it's multi, we'd like it to, I think we'd like it to clear the search as well. So If it's not multi, so if it's singular, but if it is multi, we're actually going to clear the search. So set search value to nothing. There. So we search for apples, we search for bananas, we search for that weird Spanish tangerine fruit, chocolate fruit, apricots. Okay, so I feel like this is, oh. Okay, feel good about that. What else does a multi-select need? I don't really feel like it. Okay, so how did... Oh, I see. So we opened this, we clicked on this, and it unfocused our input because we clicked on it. And it's staying open. So really what we want to do is we want to make sure that our input is always focused if it's open. And right now we are setting the focus. Let's see, focus. Dot focus. What are we calling that? I guess we're not really calling that. But if we click one of those, I guess we should do it in the select option. I almost kind of want to do it in an effect and just say, like all the time, use effect. And I'll just say if is open. We should have an input ref somewhere in here. Let's see. Get input props value. Let's also allow the user to use their own ref. Or let's see. We could do it two ways. We could let them send it through on the hook, or we could let them send it through here. Either way, we're going to have to compose it. So we're going to say ref, and let's see. Or no, we will do ref key, and then we'll set it to ref by default. And then right here, we're going to say ref, and we'll say it's a function, it gives us the element. And then what we want to do is we want to say, actually this is going to use the ref key right here. And then we'll say the input ref dot current equals the element, and then we're going to say if let's see, if the user sends through their own ref, we'll do the same for them. Input ref doesn't exist yet, but we can do that up here. So we'll say const input ref equals use ref. Now we can focus that input ref. So when in our effect down here, if it's open, then input ref focus. And really we want to, if is open and input ref current. There. So if it's open and we select blueberries, it's always focusing. Even if we click on one, very cool. Now the one thing that's missing from this that isn't technically part of our hook, but I do want to have, is the option to say, like right here, there's only one option visible, and this box is too big for just one option. So when the visible options come through, we're going to calculate the height after this, and we're going to take the min of either the visible items or the visible options length. Now remind me why we're sending visible items through to this again. Oh, that's right. Let's call this something else. Let's call this shift amount. Let's see. The shift amount can equal we'll just set it to 5 for now. But really we want the shift amount const shift amount equals the visible items. Now when we filter down, our options box never exceeds the height of what it should be. So let's see, let's go all the way through these, just adding all of them. Yeah. Now see, the one last thing too that I need to do is, that I originally said I wanted to do, is if there are no visible options, then instead of showing just one option, we need to just show, let's see, we need to just show a single option that says cannot find anything. So up here we know that so visible items is always going to be, if we're always going to have one visible, then we might as well put a 1 there, because we know that we're always going to have one option visible. So our height will be correct. The item count, it'll be that or 1, because we'll always be showing something. And then right here, instead of returning this option, we're going to say if not visible items length, we're going to return a different kind of option. We're still going to pass through, we're not going to pass through any of this. We're not going to have to get option props. We will have to pass through the ref and the style, just because that's how React window works. But then right here we can just say let's see, no options were found. Visible options, not visible items. Let's see, let's do shift amount, and let's see, page size, kind of like that. Visible items is not defined, so we'll say page size Okay, so when nothing's found, no options were found. Sweet. And let's make sure our single select still works, which it does. This is our multi-select. Now what's cool is we can come and style this however we want, right? We have total control over everything. The useSelect hook is still pretty small, about 300 lines. The last thing we need to do is add accessibility, which should be fairly straightforward. I think I'm just going to go look at downshift and see how Kent implemented that. And I think this will have kind of our minimum viable use case covered. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we need, but I don't think there is. Yeah, I feel good about this. So obviously when I put this into Nozzle or anywhere else that I decide to use it, that the options and options boxes and input, there's going to be some styling involved to get that to look the right way. Usually you want the selected options that you have put in there to be look like they're in the select box, but that's all just CSS and some styles, and it is actually probably one of the more difficult parts of writing a good select component. But for all intents and purposes, this hook is all I was going to focus on today. So I hope you guys liked this little part 2. I think this is going to be, maybe I'll do a CSS portion on this, but probably not. I think this is going to be the last part to this 2-part. Let's build a useSelect hook cast. So thanks for hanging out with me, and be sure to subscribe and share the code around. I will probably publish this as a useSelect hook on NPM, so be sure to subscribe or follow me on Twitter, and I'll let you know when that happens. See you guys later.